Welcome to the first part of our four-part tutorial on creating a title block for vendor-neutral building automation system drawings. In this part of the tutorial, we'll illustrate the use of AutoCAD templates, the menu bar, snap and grid setup, drawing limits, layers, and construction lines. We're going to begin by opening a new drawing. So we'll click on the new drawing icon here. And we're going to use the AutoCAD template to begin with. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is from our command line, we're going to type in menu bar. And we're going to set the value to 1, or make sure that it's set up to 1. And what that gets us is this menu bar up here. And we're going to be using that to access our tools. So the first thing that we're going to do is set up our snap and grid. So we're going to go into Tools, then down to Drafting Settings, and Snap and Grid. And you see that our defaults here are 0.5, 0.5 for the snap and the grid. We're going to change these to 0.03125. And set that the same, and set this the same, 0.03125. It's a number that you might want to write down because that's what we're going to use for our snap throughout the whole, all of our documents. So we're going to turn snap on. We're going to make sure that grid is turned on. We're going to have grid turned on in the model space, and we're going to turn it on in the sheet and the layout space. I'm going to turn off adaptive grid here, and I'm not going to allow the grid to display beyond the drawing limits, and we'll see how that shows up a little bit later. So we'll say OK to that, and now we've got our snap and grid set up. All right, now we're going to take a very critical step here in the process, and that is to define our drawing limits. So this is the space that we actually have to work with in our drawing. We're going to go into make sure we're in the Model tab here. And then from the command line again, I'm going to type in the word limits. You see that my lower left-hand corner is 0, 0, x and y coordinates, and we'll leave that as they are. You see the default for the upper right-hand corner is 12 and 9. We're going to change that to 16, 8.875. So that's our x and our y coordinates. Okay, we've now defined our drawing limits. This is the space that we have to work in. All right, so now we're going to go to our next step, which is to create 4 new layers. So I'm going to go up to the layers, click on that, open that up, and then I'm going to do a right click and say new layer. The name of our first layer is I'm going to make a construction line layer. So call that construction. I'm going to set the color to one of our standard colors, something that stands out. Okay, and then construction lines are really a useful tool for aligning things, but we're not going to print them out, so they're not going to be plotted out. And now let's go over here and add a description to this. I'm going to right-click, change the description. So our description, let's call this construction line drawing aids. All right, and now let's create another new layer. We're going to call this layer GNOTITL. We're going to make the color white, which is maybe a little not intuitive that we're going to select the black here and the color is actually white. And let's see, we are going to plot this out, and we're going to do a right click here to get a change description. We're going to call this title block text. So this is actually the layer that are attributes for the title block text is going to be. This is the dynamic text, or the text that will be changing through attributes. We're going to do another right click, create a new layer, and this will be GANO-TTLB, and the color is going to be the same. We're going to keep that white. We are going to plot this layer, and again, we'll go over here, click on the description field, do a right click, change description, and this will be our title block border. So this is the border, and it also contains the static text of our title block. Now let's go create one last layer here, and that is going to be our viewport layer. So we're going to just call this viewport. I'm going to make my viewport layer red, so it's very easy to identify where my viewport is. OK to that. And this is another one that I don't want to plot out my viewport boundaries. Turn off the plotting there. Again, click the field for the description, right click, change description, and we'll call this viewport. Okay, now once we're in this the layers, let's go into our construction. Click on that, and let's set that as our current layer. All right, now we're going to close out of our layer menu here, and we're going to type in a command, and basically what we're going to do now is just put a border around the drawing limits. And this isn't really a required step for the title block, but I'm doing it to illustrate what are the boundaries that we have to work in are. So I'm going to type in from the command line, my first point, I'm going to make 0, 0, x and y coordinates. My next coordinate is x of 16, y of 0. And then my next coordinate is 16x, y of 8.875. My next coordinate is 0 for the x, 8.875 for the y coordinate, and I'm going to do C for close. And I'm going to zoom all, and you see how my grid is within the drawing limits. So we defined our drawing limits. We just illustrated the drawing limits by using the construction lines to kind of give some definition to them. When we set up our snap and grid, we said don't display the grid beyond the drawing limits, and you see that that is the case here. So our drawing limits are here, our grid is inside the drawing limits. So I'm going to go back up to the layers before I forget here, and I'm going to set 0 as my current layer. This concludes part 1 of our video. Please check out parts 2, 3, and 4.